Wonderful. Mr. McAllister, thank you very much for joining us today. I'm speaking to you in light of a teachers' union dissatisfaction over the reopening plan and a letter that was made public last week. Having spoken to someone within the union, they told me that in the summer there was a plan to teach in two separate ways, in school and virtually. But in August, that plan changed. Why did the boards take the decision to go down this road, especially so close to the start of the academic year?
The answer is pretty simple, because the reason the change was made is that it was based on a survey of parents done in late August or mid-August. And the result of that survey indicated that a great many parents were availing themselves of the choice option. And while many, what happened is that we had 80% of our students had opted for in school, as opposed to a much higher number. The result being that we would have difficulty operating and sustaining, both operationally and financially, virtual school based on the previous numbers. So that is why the change was made.
And in light of obviously that change being made, and then teachers having aborted the attempts at functioning in this sort of two-in-one method, with some teachers in the letters that were made public describing it as a bit of an impossible task. The board then decided to add two further layers of what I've heard described as asynchronous learning, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is pre-recording the classes to then be able to give it to people who aren't able to attend them either in person or virtually live, which then these teachers are finding is a four-in-one method of teaching, and they're not getting the best out of their own educational facilities and therefore not being able to provide the best education for the children. What was the reason the board decided to add these other two methods? And is it something you feel like you've seen positive results on, or is it a bit too early to tell?
There's no doubt that it is a difficult task. It is not an impossible task, because many of our teachers are performing extremely well and heroically, frankly, and have made the adjustment. I don't pretend to say that it's easy. It is not. Is our system perfect? No, it is not. But neither are we living in a very perfect world at the present time. The main focus for us was to keep a cohort of kids in a class in contact with their loving teacher and their school. And that is what our system does. And in any given class, we might have, say, a class of 20. There might be 17 or more kids in class. The rest are doing synchronous learning, and that's not a pre-recorded lesson, incidentally. That's synchronous. It's going on at the same time. And then there are kids who are doing independent learning, either digitally or non-digitally. And the digital and non-digital components are prepared by our virtual school for these students. So that is our effort to deal with students learning and their continuity of learning.
But with such a high level of, with high number of teachers having signed and unions have expressed some dissatisfaction over this reopening plan, what are the board's next steps at this moment in time? What are you looking at doing next?
I think our next steps are to continue to consolidate the existing plan, because our teachers, from my understanding, are growing more comfortable with it. Again, it is not easy. And so there's a period of time here where we need to adjust and to improve. Will we return to the status quo? I don't know. If you talk to any business or organization, I think the feeling is that we may never get back to exactly the way we were because of the pandemic conditions. And frankly, Thomas, a lot of our kids are liking what we're doing.
So that's something you could see yourselves retaining this style of education based on the feedback you've been receiving?
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say that we would retain exactly what we're doing, but I think there are elements of it and components that might work best for students.
Okay, well, Mr. McAllister, thank you so much for joining us today. And this is, I guess, this is a topic that's not going to disappear anytime soon. So we will obviously be both keeping an eye on it from our own sides, and hopefully I'll catch up with this situation with you in a few months' time.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Hope springs eternal.